Hello and welcome. My name is George and my channel is all about helping you get the most out of Logic Pro so that you can record and produce your best music in your home studio. Today, I thought I'd share my go-to plugins that get placed on my stereo output for most of my mixes. So let's dive in. Okay, so I've got a song pulled up here, and you'll notice on my stereo output, currently I do not have any plugins on there, and I'm going to share with you today what I normally put on here. So to start, I actually have a channel preset that I've saved for myself that I can easily call up for any of my projects. So to get that, all I do is go over here under my stereo output, and you'll see under setting, I'll click on that, and I'll scroll down to the bottom here where it says user channel strip settings. And here I've got a few different ones that I've saved. And today I'm going to use my master bus channel strip setting. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And now you'll see that loaded all my plugins on my master bus, which are currently bypassed. The main reason for that is I don't want to turn them all at once. I'll go through these one by one and tweak any settings that I want to, and I might choose to not use certain ones and leave those off or remove them completely. Now, if you want to save a channel strip preset like this for yourself, all you got to do is where it previously said settings, click on there, and you can simply save a channel strip setting for yourself. So before I open all these up, I'll just play a little bit of this track so you get a sense of what it's currently sounding like. Okay, so that's how things are sounding right now. So let's go through some of these plugins and I'll show you what they do and why I like using them. So at the very top here, I have the Slate Digital Virtual Mixing Rack. And I'll go ahead and unbypass that. And the only things that I have in here are this Virtual Mixbuss and this Revival plugin. So the Virtual Mixbuss, this just emulates the mix bus of an analog console. So you have different emulations here that you can choose. I personally love this Brit N, which is after a Neve console. You've also got some SSL console, Trident console, and a tube console as well. But the Brit N, I just find it just really warms things up and kind of just gives a nice bass tone to it. Now the Revival, currently all the knobs are set to 0, so it's not doing anything. So the shimmer, this will just kind of add some of the higher end information if you want to kind of boost the high end a little bit. And the thickness, as you might guess, will boost the low end. Now for the high end, I've kind of stopped using this so much, and that's been replaced a little bit by the plugin we're going to look at next. But if I feel I need to add some bass, then I'll use this thickness knob a little bit. So why don't I just play a little bit and I'll turn that on and off so you can hear the difference. So I find it just kind of thickens everything up a little bit, and I quite like what it does. So let's move on to the next plugin, which is the Fresh Air plugin, also by Slate Digital. And this is actually a free plugin. So you can download this absolutely for free, fully functional, no trial, no nothing to go with it. So this is now what I like to use to add a little bit of a high end here. So we have a mid-air and a high air knob. And each of these are going to just boost the high end frequencies. So more on the high side here and more on the mid side here. So we'll have a listen and we'll boost that to taste. So I'll go ahead and turn this on, hit play, and do a little boost. So I love the way this plugin just kind of adds a little bit of excitement when you start boosting a little bit of this high air and mid air into the track. I don't like boosting it too much because things can get a little bit shrill when you start doing that, but just a little bit can add a lot to your track. The next plugin that I like to add is this Gullfoss plugin. And I have a full video on this plugin that you can check out if you're interested. This is kind of an automated EQ plugin. It's going to analyze your mix in real time and perform some cuts and boosts that the plugin thinks is going to get the most pleasing results. So the two main parameters we have here are recover and tame. So it'll either recover some frequencies that might get lost or tame some frequencies that are overbearing. So I'll start at 0% and then I'll boost or cut this to taste. This is one plugin that I really like, and I really find that it helps just clean up your mix, especially when you have a lot of tracks. It'll just help create some room for some things that are kind of getting lost a little bit. The next thing in my chain is this VBC FG-Grey, and this is a compressor, and I really like the punchy mix preset. And I find that it really does do that. It kind of just punches your mix up quite a bit. Really hear the kick and the snare kind of come forward. So the one setting that you're going to want to adjust is the threshold. So I'll usually just bring that all the way down. And then I'll just make it so it's compressing just kind of around 1 dB. So just a little bit of compression to kind of glue everything together. Now there is some gain being added, about 2.5 decibels. So it will get a little bit louder just on that, but you can also choose to bring that down if you wish. So I find that really just glues everything together nicely. Next, I have the Slate Digital Virtual Tape Machine. And this is kind of a similar flavor to the Virtual Mixbuss that we had earlier. Just kind of giving us that warmth again. But I do really like what it does to the track. On my stereo bus, I generally have it on the 1/2 inch 2-track setting. And then on my individual tracks, if I choose to use this, I'll have it on the 2-inch setting. But I will generally listen back between the 30 IPS and 15 IPS and see which one I prefer on a certain track. And same thing goes with the tape type. So let's have a listen to that. So again, I just love what this plugin adds, just a little bit of that kind of vintage vibe to it. Now, the next plugin I've got in my chain here is Ozone 10. So this would be the last thing in my chain if I'm going to be mastering this track. So when we add Ozone 10, this is going to boost the level of our track quite a bit, and it's going to get us up to a broadcast ready level. So usually how I start is I'll play the loudest part of my song, and then I'll use this assistant mode, which will kind of automatically analyze the track and load in some different modules and settings, and then I can tweak it further from there. So I'll go ahead and press this, and I'll press play on my track. Okay, so now that it's analyzed that, then I'll just click up here, and then I can see exactly what it did in here. So it did a little bit of EQ, boosting a little bit of the low end, and a little bit of a dip in the high mids here, and then a little bit of a boost in the top end. It also added an imager here, so to create a bit more width in the track. And then a dynamic EQ in a few spots. And lastly, the maximizer. So this is where the volume is going to come in, and that's what's making our track sound louder. Now you can turn off any of these just by clicking up here, and that would turn each of the modules on. So you can turn those on and off and see whether or not you like the improvement or not, and of course change any of the settings within any of the other modules. Now the next plugin I have kind of goes hand in hand with this one. This is just the loudness meter in Logic Pro. So this won't actually change any of the sound, but it's just another meter that I can use to control my overall level. So usually I aim to shoot for -14 LUFS, so I can bring this to -14 so I can see that. And then Ozone will actually also aim to learn that as well. So you can see here when it first did the automated scan and came up with settings, it set it at -11. I'm going to make it a little less loud by going to -14. And so I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to hit learn. And then you'll see it'll adjust the threshold here to reflect -14. So you might have seen there, the threshold jumped up a little bit, the volume got a little bit quieter, and that's because the maximizer is not hitting as hard now. And then you can see in our loudness meter, we're right at -14. Now the last two plugins, these are plugins that are going to stay off whenever I do a bounce of my song at the end. But I'll just quickly show you those. The second to last one is VSX, and this combines with the Steven Slate Audio VSX headphones, which allows you to mix in different rooms and environments. I've got a whole review video and tutorial on this that you can check out as well. And the last one is Sonarworks. And these kind of apply room correction to my studio monitors. So when you set up this plugin, you go through a measurement process where you actually record some sounds coming out of your studio monitors. And based on that, the Sonarworks plugin tries to correct what's coming out of your speakers to make them as flat as possible. So it's kind of like an EQ that goes on the very end, and then that EQ curve gets applied to any audio that comes out of your speakers. So you do want to make sure that those two plugins are off when it's time to bounce out your final mix. So I hope you found that helpful and give you a bit of a look inside of my normal mixing template and the plugins that I usually use on my master bus. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. And if you're looking to improve your mixes and your workflow in Logic Pro, don't forget to download my free Ultimate Logic Pro Starter Pack. This includes my Logic Pro hotkey cheat sheet, my audio recording checklist, my mixing guide, my gear guide, and my Logic Pro session templates. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.